This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Well, the good news is we actually know who is going to be pitching for the Cardinals in the Phillies series. The bad news is the Eagles got some news today that could complicate their game against the Cardinals this Sunday. We'll get to all of that, plus our weekly conversation with 1992 Heisman Trophy winner and national champion and the color analyst for the Touchdown Radio Network, Gino Torretta, joins us coming up in less than 20 minutes from now. And keep it tuned. I will tell you how you can win the final pair of tickets. Today's the final day. You can't win any more tickets after today to Mr. America in Atlantic City this weekend. You will get VIP seating for the bodybuilding competition and weekend passes to the Fitness Expo. So keep it tuned to 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank and Seattle to find out how you can win. Today's the final day you can win. If you don't win today, well, you're going to have to go buy the tickets over at MrAmerica.com. If you want to go this weekend, it's at the Tropicana. Saturday and Sunday is all the activities. Of course, it's bodybuilding, it's powerlifting, it's the strict curl competition, it's sumo wrestling. It's a whole full-blown event. And, of course, the expo is going to be laid out very nicely over at the Tropicana as well. So keep it tuned here. I'll tell you how you can win in about 10 minutes from now. We got to get to the Eagles news and the Phillies news. So let's get to that here. So first of all, the Eagles news. For those who didn't see or hear the news earlier today on 97.3 ESPN when Mike Gill talked about it on the Sports Bash, here's the deal. No Jake Elliott this week. Now, the Eagles have not officially ruled him out, but Adam Schefter is reporting that Jake Elliott will not play this week. And that Cameron Dicker, the former Texas kicker who we talked about yesterday here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN, he is going to be the kicker this week. Now, for those who don't know who Cameron Dicker is, aside from having a very interesting last name, he was a guy who hit almost 76% of his field goals at Texas. He was a guy who went 60 for 79 on his field goal attempts. So he is somebody who is a reliable kicker. He is a guy who made some big kicks, notably against Mike Gill's West Virginia. So he is a guy who comes into Philadelphia, and at least he's a reliable kicker that you know you can depend on when it comes to an NFL game. Now, I don't know if he's as good as Jake Elliott. That is to be seen. I think Elliott has proven himself to be one of the more reliable kickers in the NFL. But that's the first bite of news. And it's not the end of the world that Elliott doesn't play this week, but it is a interesting concern because you see what's going on with, for example, Kansas City, how they missed Harrison Butker for a couple of weeks, how it impacted their game plan and their execution. On the flip side, the Cardinals will also not have their kicker. Matt Prater is out for the game for Arizona as well. So both teams are going to miss their kickers this week. It'll be interesting to see, do Nick Sirianni and Cliff Kingsbury, the dueling head coaches, do they go for it on fourth down a little more because they don't have their regular kickers out there to depend on with their big legs? You know, Prater and Elliott are both guys who can hit it from over 50 yards. And no offense to Cameron Dicker, the last time I checked, his career long was 50. So I'm not expecting him to be able to go out there and just go bombs away. I think that if it's 50 or more yards to a field goal and it's 4th and 8, you might see the offense stay on the field, or do they punt it in that situation? We're going to have to wait and see this Sunday. Of course, Merrill Reese, Mike Quick on the call here on your home for Eagles football in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN FM. The other parts of the injury report that are of note, we'll call it of note, is Avonte Maddox, Jordan Mailata, both were DNPs. They did not practice. Now, we saw Mailata on the sideline on Sunday doing some drills, and the perception watching, on television, not being on the sideline myself, was I perceived it as, okay, maybe he could come back in, but he's not 100% healthy and they don't want to risk it. So they're letting him rest. So there's a chance that Mailata still can play this week. Maddox is the very big question because the Cardinals are a team that is, their offense is very incomplete. Okay, I'll put it that way. They have an offense that realistically, if everyone is healthy and everyone is there, can be very dangerous. But guess what? No DeAndre Hopkins for the first 6 weeks of the season, so the Eagles don't have to deal with one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Rondale Moore is back on the injury report with a knee issue as he was limited at practice today. Furthermore, Marquise Hollywood Brown, he hasn't had a very good year so far. He's not a guy that's going out there and, blowing anybody's socks off. He's somebody who's pretty much been pretty pedestrian. Arguably, their two best receivers are Greg Dortch, because we all know who he is, and Zach Ertz, and you definitely know who he is. They have A.J. Green, but that's not the A.J. Green that you know. It's the A.J. Green that is over the hill, and it's not the same guy he used to be, A.J. Green. So that's where we're at right now. You're talking about a football team that is not at 100%. But what they do have is a couple speedsters, and they have Zach Ertz. And I don't know exactly how a player like Avonte Maddox impacts that game plan, because I think Doug Peterson is a much better football coach than Cliff Kingsbury is. I think he's a better strategist. He's a more experienced winner from what I have seen. So I tend to look at what the Cardinals do offensively through the lens that I don't think the combination of Kingsbury and Kyler Murray can expose the Eagles' defense in the same way that Doug Peterson and Press Taylor and his staff could do for the Jags. Now, we know that in the rain, Trevor Lawrence dropped a couple balls, fumbles 4 times. And that was a big storyline of that game in the rain in the win last Sunday. No weather issues. This is a dome this week in Arizona. So again, what can Arizona do if Avonte Maddox doesn't play this week? Is it really that much of an issue? I think the Mailata thing is probably the more problematic thing, because Vance Joseph is one of the highest blitzing defensive coordinators in all the NFL. And even though the Cardinals don't have an elite defense, they don't have that, elite pass rusher. No Chandler Jones there in Arizona anymore. He's now at the Raiders. So your reasoning, I'll call it, for the Cardinals is, do they overload the blitz because they don't have the personnel to get the quarterback consistently? Is this the kind of defense that, if they see that Mailata is out there and they have to play Driscoll again, for example, do they just tell J.J. Watt, you're no longer D tackle, you're going to line up on the outside, go get the quarterback, and good luck? Do they turn to Marcus Golden and line him up consistently up and down the line? J.J. Watt's not the same J.J. Watt he used to be. He's still a stud. He's still a future Hall of Famer, but he's not the same monster he used to be. He's still very good, though. Marcus Golden, I think, is a little overrated personally. And we know that Vance Joseph loves the blitz. So do you see guys like Zaven Collins and Isaiah Simmons, I should say. Isaiah Thomas played basketball. Isaiah Simmons coming along those blitzes. So I think that the Mailata thing is the thing I'm keeping a closer eye on than the Avonte Maddox thing, because I just don't have a ton of confidence that the Cardinals' offense is going to be schemed up properly to take advantage of that. Whereas when I look at a team like the Cardinals defense, I think there might be something to keep an eye on there. Game Night being brought to you by my friends over at the FanDuel Sportsbook inside Bally's off the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Bet, watch, and win all season long. Plus, enjoy your favorite games from all over the world with 10 betting kiosks, 5 betting windows, 13 big screen TVs, and plenty of comfortable seating. So just head over to FanDuel Sportsbook off the boardwalk in Atlantic City at Bally's to get on all the action this season. Thursday Night Football tonight, college football on Saturday, the Phillies action Friday and Saturday, and Eagles kick off at 4:25. Get in on all the action and watch it all over at the FanDuel Sportsbook inside Bally's, Atlantic City. FanDuel wants every bettor's experience to be enjoyable and fun. Visit FanDuel.com/playwell to learn more. Must be 21 or to play and present in New Jersey. To bet online. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Don't forget, we'll talk with 1992 Heisman Trophy winner and college football analyst Gino Torretta coming up in about 8 minutes from now. I want to get to the Phillies real quick before we hit the break here, because the Cardinals finally decided to announce some of their starters. And it's very interesting to me because the official announcement is that Quintana is going to go tomorrow afternoon against Wheeler, and Michaelis will go on Saturday versus Nola. They have not officially announced it for the Sunday starter, but there's speculation on MLB Network that they're reporting the expectation that Adam Wainwright could go, but he might not go a full 6-7 innings, that he might get relieved by like a Jordan Montgomery in relief out of the bullpen, or that Montgomery might come in for Quintana or Michaelis in game 1 or game 2, and maybe Dakota Hudson would come in game 3 part way for Wainwright to kind of bridge the gap to the back end of the bullpen. I think this is an incredible strategy by the Cardinals because they're sending Quintana out there, a guy who is a left-handed pitcher, against a lineup full of left-handers. Very, very interesting twist. Very, very interesting change of pace situation, because now the Phillies can't run out there with their normal left-handed lineup. They got to play matchup baseball. And depending on how deep into the game Quintana goes, does he go 5 innings, 6 innings? I don't know yet. So, the Phillies, they're not going to be able to run out there their normal lineup. The report says that Vierling is going to play center field tomorrow, and Marsh is going to not play. So you're losing a piece of your defense out there and sacrificing that to hope that Vierling, who is better against lefties most of the year than right-handed pitching, that you can go out there and get Quintana. And then Michaelis on Saturday is also interesting because, remember, he's not a strikeout pitcher. He's a guy who gets a lot of ground balls, a lot of timely flyouts to, mid outfield. He doesn't give up a lot of long balls. He's not a guy who gets knocked around a lot. So you're having him go up against a guy in Nola who is also a guy who you could argue is one of the hottest pitchers in baseball over the last few weeks. So the Cardinals are kind of playing a game to say, hey, we're going to throw you this strategy. Let's see how the Phillies respond to what we are putting out there. So the chess match is on. Of course, you can hear game 2 right here, Nola versus Michaelis, here on 97.3 ESPN FM on Saturday night. All right, right now, if you are tuning in and you are checking us out here, appreciate you listening to 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app, and you want to win tickets to go see Mr. America in Atlantic City this weekend, text in Mr. America and your name to 609-403-0973. Yes, 609-403-0973. Text your name and Mr. America. Today is the final day that you can win a pair of weekend passes to the Mr. America Fitness Expo and VIP seating to the bodybuilding competition. Coming up on the other side, Gino Torretta from the Touchdown Radio Network will join us. They got a very interesting game this week on 97.3 ESPN. Ohio State versus Michigan State. We'll get Gino's perspective on that. Plus, it's October 6th, and we're already talking about the Heisman. Well, let's ask a Heisman winner what he thinks about the debate. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle.
The Friends and Family Sale is back through Sunday. Rack up extra savings for your closet and home through Sunday. Come on and save all. Shopping is back. JCPenney.
It's the time of year for killer deals. You've had your eye on some hot new wheels. We want to pay off your loan or lease and tell your old car to rust in peace.
If your current vehicle is your worst nightmare, get to Matt Blatt Nissan today. AJ the Trade Man will give you more for your trade. We have a huge selection of new Nissans on the lot or en route, ready for delivery. Have a job clearing $350 per week? Matt Blatt Nissan wants to approve you today with 0 down, 0 payments for 90 days, and 1.9% financing. Drive away with peace of mind with Matt Blatt Nissan's 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
Reserve your Nissan today from our huge selection. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle. Interest accrues from date of sale. Not all will qualify. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to mattblattnissan.com for complete details. Offer ends 11/6/22. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Are you seeing the telomeres here? Come here, look at the scope.
Dr. Ocasio's lab startup just discovered a gene therapy breakthrough.
The cells have already doubled.
He needs a fleet of research assistants before this breakthrough breaks them.
We need lab techs, research assistants.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
The new Google Pixel 7 Pro is super, especially when it's on Verizon, the network America relies on. It's supercharged, super powered, and a super...
deal.
You know it. Now, switch to Verizon and get the Google Pixel 7 Pro on us with select trade-ins and select 5G unlimited plans.
That really is super.
Yep. There's never been a better time to switch to Verizon. $899.99 device payment purchase with new smartphone line on select 5G unlimited plans required. $200 Verizon e-gift card with ported. Less $700 trade-in/promo credit applied over 36 months. 0% APR. Trade-in conditions and additional terms apply.
Hey folks, it's JR, the #1 documented source from the world's best destination for point spread information, wagerpro.com. Denver is taking on Indianapolis at home tonight at Mile High. And as a way to gain your trust and your confidence, I'm releasing this point spread winner absolutely free on my famous recorded message. Call immediately. 800-499-3733. That's 800-499-3733. Call now. 800-499-3733. Let me prove it to you, then sign up. Absolutely free on my famous recorded hotline, the winner of tonight's Thursday night, Week 5, Denver-Indianapolis marquee matchup at Mile High. Call now, 800-499-3733. That's 800-499-3733. And visit wagerpro.com and follow me on social media at Real Radio JR.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-478-6688. That's 1-800-478-6688. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-478-6688. That's 1-800-478-6688.
SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
Smart businesses are always looking for ways to improve. Better workdays can start with Cintas. Your dedicated Cintas service reps help make sure you have what you need when you need it. We'll stock your essential cleaning products, deliver hygienically clean workwear, inspect your fire extinguishers, and provide first aid and safety supplies. Cintas is with you every step of the way, so you stay a step ahead. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
The one and only Mr. America All-American Sports Festival is coming to the Tropicana in Atlantic City, October 8th and 9th. The Super Bowl of natural bodybuilding is the world's most iconic bodybuilding competition. Competitors from 41 different states will compete for the title of Mr. and Ms. America. This year, more than 1,000 athletes competing in over 20 sports and events. The one and only Mr. America All-American Sports Festival, October 8th and 9th at Tropicana in Atlantic City. Get tickets now at MrAmerica.com.
You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Game Night being brought to you by my friends over at Jenkins & Sons. Call Jenkins like we did here at 97.3 ESPN, because when we needed to keep the studio cool here at 97.3 ESPN FM, that's who we called, and so should you. So give them a call at 609-641-6262, because Jenkins technicians are trained to do it all. For new heating and air installation, service and maintenance, ductless air conditioning system, water heaters, boilers, oil service, plumbing and drain cleaning services, call them at 609-641-6262, and you can visit them online at jenkinsandsons.com. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. Let's get into the college football talk now. Another busy weekend of college football coming up. And, of course, one of the games you can hear this Saturday on 97.3 ESPN. 4 o'clock is the coverage. And Gino Torretta, the 1992 Heisman Trophy winner, will be on the call. Ohio State versus Michigan State. But don't compare years past to this year. We'll dig deeper into that, plus the state of college football heading into the weekend. Gino, welcome back. Appreciate you jumping on. How you doing today?
I'm doing good, Josh. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Let's start with the game that you got this week, because I don't think people realize that they haven't been watching, all of college football. A lot of people, what they do, they watch their favorite team or the team that, they went to school at, right? So I don't think people realize that this isn't Michigan State of last year or 5-6 years ago. And they got an Ohio State team that might be one of the highest powered offenses in the entire league of the Big Ten.
Well, no question. I think, Ohio State, C.J. Stroud is just on fire at quarterback. He's got, 18 touchdowns on the season. And they're even banged up. And Jigba Smith, who's one of the top receivers in college football, when healthy, he's only played in 2 games, and some kid by the name of Marvin Harrison, I think he's got a famous dad that played decent receiver in the NFL for about 25 years, it seems like. He's been picking up the slack, so I guess the talent level at Ohio State, and I think that, last year where, Michigan State kind of they caught lightning in a bottle. They had a bunch of transferred. Kenneth Walker was up for the Heisman and like top 5 for most of the season. And this game was kind of like where they started, I guess, the reality check of, how good you got to be to try to get in that playoffs. And Ohio State boat raced them. C.J. Stroud, I thought he was the front runner for the Heisman after the game, because I think he threw 4 touchdowns in about the first 8 minutes of the first quarter. And this year, Michigan State has just struggled. It hasn't come together, but I think that's what we're going to see in today's day and age with, this transfer portal. It's almost similar. I was watching the 49ers game this past, I think it was a few days ago. And, they go from one game from the Super Bowl. The prior season, I think they were like 4-13. And then they're deep in the playoffs the prior year of that. We expect that in college, in professional football, because of free agency of guys leaving. But I think we're going to see more of that in college football because of the turnover and this transfer portal issues.
It's ironic also because, Michigan State paid a lot of money to, keep Mel Tucker from considering leaving. And that first, that year last year, a lot of those guys, they were there because they were transfers. And it's ironic that now the transfer portal is maybe come back to bite them. It's almost like a two-edged sword, is it not?
Yeah. Oh, there's no question. But that's what I mean. I think you're gonna have it where it's hard to come together as a team. I mean, that's the hardest thing a coach has got to do, get 85 guys kind of rowing the boat and pulling in the same direction. And I think that he did that last year. And this season, it just, you lose all those guys to graduation and the NFL. And, the sustainability in any sport is having good talent and good backups. And I think that it comes down to how long you've been recruiting at a high level. And you see that the top teams that are year in and year out, they're the ones that have the best players. They're the ones that work the hardest in recruiting and get those best players every single year.
Gino, you're the 1992 Heisman Trophy winner. And this year, it's a very interesting conversation for the Heisman. One of the guys you're going to see this Saturday, CJ Stroud, he's heavy in that conversation. So is Caleb Williams of USC. Hooker from Tennessee, I know he's in that conversation. I know some people are saying that Jalen Daniels from Kansas should be in the conversation. How are you looking at the Heisman Trophy race as of October 6th? Because we know it can change in a month from now.
Well, I would say this. I think that I guess it was probably the Geno Smith phenomenon where everybody had him winning the Heisman after September when he was in college at West Virginia. I think people have put the brakes more on, anointing somebody having a great season. Listen, they're 4 or 5 games in. Now we're getting to the meat of conference schedules and big time games, and this is where you make your hay. I think you can put yourself in position, or at least in the discussion in September. You can further that and get deeper in the conversation in October. But you win the thing the end of October, early November, when you start playing your rivalry games and you're legit through majority of your conference schedule, no matter whatever conference you're in. I mean, all those guys are in that discussion, but Tennessee's got, what do they got? LSU this week, and then they got Bama next week. And, Hendon Hooker could go from, he's in the discussion to completely out of it, or they win 2 in a row and then Hendon Hooker's the front runner. So there's so many things that can happen between now and the end of the season. I kind of I watch every single game and every single week. So I really don't say, hey, this guy's, going to win the Heisman. I say, this guy's having a nice season so far. We'll see how he does when, it's the bright lights in the big city and they're in the thick of a conference schedule.
Heisman Trophy winner, national champion Gino Torretta joining us here on Game Night here on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Don't forget the Touchdown Radio Network game of the week, Ohio State and Michigan State, 4 p.m. kickoff here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Gino, you mentioned Hooker. You had LSU Auburn last week. You had Tennessee, Florida earlier. So you've seen LSU, you've seen Tennessee. That's a top 25 matchup according to the pollsters. So is LSU a challenge for Tennessee, or do you anticipate Tennessee to be able to win that game handily?
I think it's a challenge. I think anytime you're in the SEC, and obviously LSU can recruit great players, but I think that Tennessee is further along. I think obviously with the new coach at LSU and Brian Kelly, I think you've had the transfer portal, same issue where he lost a significant number of players. I don't think that LSU has enough depth and firepower on both sides of the ball to beat Tennessee. Tennessee's going to snap it, once every less than 3 seconds. They're going to run a ton of plays. They're going to get the defense for LSU tired. I think that Tennessee's going to, have their way and be able to beat LSU.
Another game I want to ask you about, we mentioned him briefly earlier. Kansas, they're 19th in the country. They're undefeated. They got TCU coming to Lawrence. We know that game day is going there. So there's a lot of hoopla around this game. So I ask you, Gino, does Lance Leipold have a real team in Kansas this year?
I think he's got a real team, but after watching TCU just destroy Oklahoma, and I'm sold on TCU. You know what? Maybe it's wrong just because I watched the entire game and I was just like, wow, this Dugan's kid, he's a player, quarterback. They got some some boys on the outside that he's chucking it to. I'm sold on TCU. And I think that, Kansas, it's obviously a great story. They're undefeated. But again, I think that they have improved tremendously. But now you're talking about, I think TCU is one of the top two teams in the Big 12 with Oklahoma State. And they got a stud quarterback. So I think TCU is going to kind of rain on the parade. But that's the best thing about college football is just, we want more parity. We want more people that have a chance to get in the playoff at the end of the year. And it's a great story so far by Kansas.
Another team that's undefeated has a very tough challenge this weekend is UCLA. They're 5-0, but they got that Utah team coming in. This may be the toughest game on UCLA's schedule. I mean, in theory, if they get past Utah, some people might think that might be the favorite to win the Pac-12, right?
Well, then you got the UCLA at the end of the year, November 19th. So that would be, just a huge matchup. And even in California, even the Rose Bowl might get sold out.
That would be nice.
Where that is, but the story with UCLA is what is there? There seems to be less people in their stands than come to watch the University of Miami play down here. So, and it's an early game. I think it's like a noon kick out there. I think that to me UCLA's at home. Chip Kelly's offense finally seems to be rolling a little bit. You got 40 points last week. Utah, more of a power kind of Big Ten type deal. So we'll see. I like UCLA at home in that one.
Gino, one of the side effects of the COVID year back in 2020 was all these guys got another extra year on their eligibility. And you mentioned Duggan down there at TCU, Dorian Thompson-Robinson at UCLA. I mean, I feel like these guys are benefiting exponentially from this extra year, and that's part of the reason why they're playing so well this year.
Oh, I don't think there's any question. With experience, the quarterback position, you get so much better. Throw Hendon Hooker in there. He's over 24. Bennett at Georgia, he's over 24. These guys are experienced players. I think that I remember when we played, I think it was my freshman or sophomore year, we played BYU, and I remember looking at you look at the depth charts and stuff, and you're reading about your opponents and their personal issues, and I'm like, there was guys we were playing against that were 25 years old. You're pretty much a grown man playing against an 18-year-old kid if the guy's a true freshman. So there is no question that extra year, especially for the quarterbacks, and if you have experience playing that, not only body maturity, but mental maturity and all of those reps are truly helpful to a QB.
Gino, I want to go a little big picture with you because we've seen a lot of head coaches fired early in the year in college football. We saw Paul Chryst at Wisconsin. We saw Scott Frost at Nebraska. These guys are getting fired before they even really get into November. In the past, it's been guys usually get to like the rivalry games and then they get let go. Is this a disturbing trend that we should just get used to, or is this a side effect of those school situations? What do you think is going on here?
Well, I don't know. It's like because USC was able to get Lincoln Riley from Oklahoma, and they feel, or maybe the other people in the industry feel, because USC's job was open sooner, they were able to put out some feelers, I guess, before other schools. And that allowed them to kind of, I guess, negotiate with Lincoln Riley. I don't know. To me is, you're making a change at quarterback or the head coaching position. So, obviously things aren't going the way you want. Now, my concern is, are the people that want a different head coach, do they have experience? Should we really trust who's making that final decision? Is it fans? Is it board members that don't have experience playing the game? Is it an athletic director that didn't play the game? To me, it's, if you're hiring a coach, I want people that have coached and or played the game and been around great coaches to say, okay, this is what I want. And I think that what we're seeing is with social media And with, I guess, the microwave society and the pressure of you got to win every single year and you got to be Nick Saban in year one at any school you're at, you see the pressure, basically the people making the decisions succumb to that pressure when, you know, you got to stand up and maybe sometimes you got to take some bullets for your coach. You know, you got to say, hey, this is the guy. We're comfortable with him, but they're not doing it. It's easier a lot of times to just make a change, and it's kind of disappointing.
It's definitely disappointing because, Gino, I got to tell you, you know, I'm not sitting here saying that, you know, so-and-so is the greatest coach in the world, but any of these guys, they're not being handed a full deck. I mean, 2020 was complete chaos for so many people around the world, not even college football, the world, right? And it's like you're coming out of that. You got the transfer portal. You got all these moving parts. And it's like people are acting like, you know, there's Lincoln Rileys everywhere to be hired. It's like, you know, there's no guarantee that Lance Leipold's leaving Kansas. There's no guarantee that Matt Rule, if he gets fired in Carolina, is coming back to college football. I feel like these people think that, you know, the grass is always greener. Then they get to the other side of the fence and they realize, oh, wait, the grass is the same as mine.
and oh, by the way, just because you pay the next coach more than the one you got doesn't mean he's going to be better.
Right.
And I think that's what you really have to figure out. But there's no question that you know, these just switching, and I mean, who's to say Harsin at Auburn? I mean, when we talked last week, it was 2 3-1 teams that controlled their own destiny in the SEC West, and it couldn't have been a more morbid, downtrodden time at Auburn. I mean, they're doing the Tiger Walk as the fewest people I'd ever seen in Auburn, and there was more cheers at the coaches coming in Tiger Walk than there were cheers from the fans as they walk in. And this guy's in year 2, and he's from Boise State. You know, it's just, and I don't know, you know, if Georgia gets off to a fast start and destroys Auburn, you know, it's Harsin even on the way back to Auburn. That was kind of outside. We're like, we want Deion Sanders to be our head coach. When they have a coach, it's only in this year.
And they say that, and there's no guarantee that Deion would even.
Well, but you got to realize Auburn's in the same state as Alabama and Nick Saban,
right?
And they want Nick Saban. The bad thing is he coaches for their in-state rival, and I think he's advanced enough in age that he's not going to make a change and go from Alabama to Auburn.
I mean, Gino, I got to tell you, one of the crazy things is someone brought this stat up the other day on television. I'm watching CBS Sports Network. They brought up Inside College Football. Right now, Jimbo Fisher, through 53 games, has the same record as Kevin Sumlin did when he was at Texas A&M.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like...
Yeah, but Jimbo's got a better agent because I think his buyout's like $90 million.
Yes. It's very true. It's very true. Well, listen, you know, the whole story with if they would have waited like 3 more weeks, Scott Frost's buyout would have been cut in half, or Paul Chris, they would have waited a month, his buyout would have been cut in half. So it's like some of these schools don't seem to care about these buyouts, which is in of itself insane.
I guess not, Josh. I guess there's some very wealthy boosters all across the country.
Yeah, maybe sometimes I wonder, Gino, if I got into the wrong profession. I mean, the way some of these guys.
I'm like, hell, I'm living when I'm 52. I'm like, can I get a head coaching job soon? I'll take Paul Chris's exit package at $11 million.
11 million. You'll take an exit package for 1 million. Most people would.
Yeah, well, a couple. I mean, if I'm the head guy, I got to be making 2 is chump change. So I got to be making 2. So my exit package. I mean, they're saying, oh, Paul Chris took less than 15 or 17 million that he was owed. He only took 11. I'm like, only took 11.
Only took 11.
Highway robbery for any coach.
Gino, before I let you go, I wanted to ask you specifically, which do you think is the better job? Like if someone did call you and say, hey, Gino, we want you to be the head coach, do you like Nebraska or Wisconsin better?
Personally, I would say Wisconsin. I just think Nebraska, now they're both in the same conference, so they have the strength of the Big Ten, but I really think Nebraska has ever found its way when they left the Big 12, because I think that they were recruiting kids in Oklahoma, they were recruiting kids in Texas, and you could sell those kids, hey, you'll play in front of your parents, you'll play, against when you travel to Texas or Oklahoma State. And, it was kind of, you wanted to stay local, and they could get those players. But now in Nebraska, now you're not playing against those teams year in and year out. So you got to recruit different states. And I don't think they've ever figured that out. And I think Wisconsin is a better brand. I think that, what Barry Alvarez built, I think you could get it to there. And I think the AD, my thought is, Paul Chryst, a heck of a coach. I think he's just, the quarterback situation hasn't worked out the last few years, but I really think that the AD had a guy in Jim Leonard, who's a two-time All-American from Wisconsin, wanted him to be the head coach, and didn't want Leonard to go somewhere else and be a head coach, so he fired Chryst. After a 2-3 start, he fired Chryst and was like, you know what? Let's see if Jim Leonard can do it, because I don't want Kansas to come in if Leipold leaves Kansas and offer Leonard, whatever they offer a head coach nowadays, and take him away.
And people forget Leonard took the state at Wisconsin to be the D coordinator and turned down the Packers defensive coordinator job a few years ago. So, Leonard has already shown that
it's a preemptive strike.
Yeah, preemptive strike. Exactly. He is 1992 Heisman Trophy winner Gino Torretta. You can catch him this Saturday here on 97.3 ESPN. Touchdown Radio Network Game of the Week. Ohio State versus Michigan State. And Gino joins us each week to talk college football here on 97.3 ESPN. Gino, I always appreciate you jumping on. Enjoy the game this weekend. We'll talk next week.
Sounds good, Josh.
And, of course, our conversation with Gino Torretta being brought to you by friends over at Jenkins. Jenkins technicians do it all. Renovating your kitchen or bath? Call Jenkins. For new heating and air installation, service and maintenance, ductless air conditioning systems, water heaters, boilers, oil service, plumbing, and drain cleaning services, call 609-641-6262 and visit them online at jenkinsandsons.com. Coming up on the other side, we will check what you guys have to say on the text board. 609-403-0973 is that text board. You also can DM the show through the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Don't forget, today is the last day. You can win a pair of tickets to go to the Mr. America All-American Sports Festival and Fitness Expo Saturday and Sunday at Tropicana in Atlantic City. And you will also get VIP tickets for the bodybuilding competition. All you got to do is text in at 609-403-0973 your name and Mr. America, and you are automatically qualified. We will contact the winners after the show tonight. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night. We're on 97.3 ESPN FM.
Scott Graham from Westwood One inviting you to join us for Thursday night primetime from Denver when Russell Wilson and the Broncos host the Colts. Matt Ryan in Indianapolis looked to bounce back from a loss to the Titans last week, and Denver's coming off a loss at the Raiders, but hopes to build on their 2-0 record at home. Spiro Ditas and Ryan Harris will call the action on Thursday Night Football.
Listen to Thursday Night Football on 97.3 ESPN. Coverage begins at 7:30.
It's alive! It's alive!
Sir, he's trying to speak.
It's a crime to pay more than a dime.
Yes, one dime down at Springfield Mitsubishi in Atlantic City. Even the new Outlanders with third-row seating.
Credit amnesty.
Yes, if you bring home $350 a week, you could get up to $25,000 in credit. $25,000 with only one dime down.
Hey, now this is a Halloween party. Woo-hoo!
Every vehicle, one dime down.
Acres of vehicles in stock now. And you get a 10-year, 100,000-mile warranty.
Beat that.
At the all-new Springfield Mitsubishi, Atlantic City.
In Pleasantville.
Day service, all makes and models. Springfield Mitsubishi AC.com.
Oh, this is good, Jack. That's not dip.
New 22 Mirage, 16.4 dime down, $249 a month for 72 months at 3% APR plus tax title to qualified buyers.
My friend and I are taking a trip to Mexico this year, but neither of us speak Spanish. So we downloaded Babbel and started learning Spanish fast.
Want to get conversational in another language in as little as 3 weeks? Babbel's quick 10-minute lessons were designed by language experts to be the most efficient and effective way to learn a new language.
¿Cómo te llamas?
¿Cómo te llamas?
Babbel, language for life, celebrating 10 million subscriptions sold. Now try Babbel for free at babbel.com. That's BABBEL.com.
At my age, I never dreamed I'd be dealing with opioid addiction.
I was pregnant and I couldn't stop.
Getting sidelined by an injury was bad, but the cravings were way worse.
Then I heard about 844-REACH-NJ.
They connected me to treatment and I had a healthy baby.
844-REACH-NJ was the call that made the difference.
Thank goodness I made the call.
So glad I made the call for both of us.
REACH-NJ. If you or someone you love is struggling with addiction, call 844-REACH-NJ from the New Jersey Department of Human Services.
Share the savings at the JCPenney Friends and Family Sale. Through Sunday, use your coupon to rack up an extra 30% off fall essentials for your closet and home, like dress-up apparel and shoes for the family up to 40% off. Plus, Home Expressions bath towels, solids, and stripes, only $4.19 with coupon. Come one and save all. Shopping is back. JCPenney offers good on select styles through 10/9. Exclusions apply. See store or jcp.com for details.
Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. Check out Chicky and Pete's all-new happy hour every weekday starting at 4 p.m. Enjoy select craft beers, seltzers, and wines for $5, plus feature cocktails for $7 on our special happy hour food menu. We call it the Bar Board, with world-famous crab fries, tasty pretzel nuggets, and get ready, Curds-A-Roni, with crispy bacon and Dijon cheese sauce. Chicky and Pete's all-new happy hour every weekday starting at 4 p.m. Chickies and Pete's. Hi, it's Pete from Chicky and Pete's. College football is back. Come join us for XL College Football Saturdays every Saturday starting at 11 a.m. We have you covered. Ice cold domestic draft personal pitchers for just $5. Plus a wing special for you and your crew like no other. 40 classic or boneless Chicky and Pete's award-winning wings for just $60. Choose from buffalo, barbecue, dry rub, or the new kid on the wing block, spicy Thai peanut wings. XL College Football Saturdays, only from Chickies and Pete's.
Smart businesses are always looking for ways to improve. Better work days can start with Cintas. Your dedicated Cintas service reps help make sure you have what you need when you need it. We'll stock your essential cleaning products, deliver hygienically clean workwear, inspect your fire extinguishers, and provide first aid and safety supplies. Cintas is with you every step of the way, so you stay a step ahead. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Listen up, South Jersey football fans. Are you interested in solar? Want a free roof? EMT Solar and Roofing has you covered. Visit ESPNsolar.com to see if your home qualifies for a free roof with solar installation. Don't wait, act now. Start saving thousands and virtually extinguish your electric bill. ESPNsolar.com is the place to go for your roofing or solar needs. No commitments, no hidden fees. Go to ESPNsolar.com to see if you qualify.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
With you, my thoughts about Thursday Night Football, which we hear coming up 7:30 p.m. is the coverage here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Being brought to you by my friends over at the FanDuel Sportsbook inside Bally's off the boardwalk in Atlantic City. Don't forget Thursday Night Football, college football Saturday. You want to bet, you want to watch, well, you should be doing it at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Bally's in Atlantic City. With 10 betting kiosks, 5 betting windows, 13 big screen TVs, and plenty of comfortable seating. Bet, watch, and win all football season long. And with the baseball playoffs this weekend, that's the place to get on all the action too. That's FanDuel Sportsbook inside Bally's off the boardwalk in Atlantic City. FanDuel wants every bettor's experience to be enjoyable and fun. Visit FanDuel.com/playwell to learn more. Must be 21 or to play and present in New Jersey to bet online. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, let's get some of you guys' thoughts, comments before we get out of here. And as I promised, I will give you my thoughts on the Thursday Night Football game. First, of course, text board is open, 609-403-0973. You also can DM the show through 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. See, that's where Hal from Wilmington, Delaware chimes in and says, I remember when Amir Abdullah was supposed to have a good game against Wisconsin a decade ago. I was wrong that day, and Melvin Gordon shined. It's funny you mentioned Melvin Gordon because he's playing tonight. And I know a lot of people they're kind of hoping that Gordon has a good game, but I'm not 100% sure. Gordon was a stud at Wisconsin. And Abdullah was a very talented running back. I'm not going to, Hal's right. Back then, Abdullah was like this. I mean, people were acting like he might be like a Reggie Bush light type of player because of his dual skill set. And he was able to parlay that into a nice NFL career. I mean, this is the guy in college who, his final year in college, he had 22 total touchdowns. And in that season, that final year, was not even his best yardage year. He had almost 2,000 total yards his junior year. Then his senior year, he racked up a touchdown. So he was a phenomenal player. But you're right. Melvin Gordon was a monster in college, and he was part of that crazy run of running backs. It felt like every couple of years there was like this, did you see the Wisconsin running back? Did you see the Wisconsin running back? It was just year after year. It felt like, whether it was him or Corey Clement, all these dudes just were racking up crazy stats at Wisconsin, and people were trying to figure out which ones were legit and which ones were not. Shaner chimes in over on Twitter at 973 ESPN, says, Josh, I worry about scrambling quarterbacks versus the Eagles. Will Reddick, being smaller and faster, be able to force Murray to his backside, or will he pull a Russ Wilson and beat us? The scrambling quarterback is a problem for a lot of NFL teams, Shaner, because of the fact that a lot of teams have, for whatever reason, decided that the old school tactic of putting a spy on a quarterback, they don't want to do it anymore. They think that if they force the quarterback to hold the ball in the pocket, that they're basically counting on that the quarterback will make a mistake at some point. And I think that way of that strategy, that way of thinking is very flawed, and that's where my concern is, Shaner. My concern is that, the captain obvious move is you watch the Raiders game where Kyler Murray leads them back and wins the game. They never had a spy on him the entire game. So to me, the answer in this game is you got to put a spy on him. I don't know who that spy is. Is it because you're white? Is it Hassan Reddick? Is it somebody else? Is this what Nakobe Dean's big snap count is? Just tell him to go out there and watch Kyler Murray for the entire game. It's a good question, Shaner. I appreciate you chiming in with that question. Also, thanks to Hal from Wilmington for chiming in as well. As I mentioned, tonight, Thursday football, 7:30 p.m. here on 973 ESPN. The over-under is 42. I got to tell you, I like the under. I have a lot of faith in the Colts offense and the Broncos offense. Well, is Russell Wilson ever going to figure out how to play quarterback again? I mean, this guy was a future Hall of Famer until this year. And now all of a sudden it's, maybe his shoulder's not fully well. Well, his offensive line is not as good as it used to be. Matt Ryan and Russell Wilson were two of the best quarterbacks in the NFL for a time. And now all of a sudden neither one of them can play offense? Very strange. Yeah, take the under in that game. 7:30 p.m. is the coverage show on 97.3 ESPN. I'm Josh Hennig. Have a great night, everybody.
Scott Graham from Westwood One, inviting you to join us for Thursday night primetime from Denver when Russell Wilson and the Broncos host the Colts. Matt Ryan in Indianapolis look to bounce back from a